This document can be found in your course. You'll download as normal. Okay, so we're going to be creating patterns using multiple pattern tools inside of Illustrator, and then also brushes. We'll probably get to the brushes next time. So today, most likely just patterns. We'll see. We'll see what we have time. Oh no, it's a bad sign. I need it even bigger. Every day it just gets slightly worse until there will be no more A's. All right. So this is your artboard Starry Night. And so what we're going to be doing is taking these red stars and we're going to position them over this very dark, I can't tell if it's navy or black. I think it might be, oh, it says black. So I'm assuming it's black. All right. So what I'm going to do though, because they are going to be having me do a lot of things with grouping the stars, changing their colors and things like that once they're on top of the black box. So what I'm going to do is open my layers panel and I'm going to just pull that out. Remember, if you don't see your layers panel over here, you go to Window, Layers, and I'm going to use my layers panel, to lock that box temporarily while I'm formatting those stars. So it's at the very, very bottom of, this is layer A6-1. I'm just going to do the little lock right there. Okay. So now that's not going to move as I'm messing with these stars. So position the 10 stars over your box and arrange them nicely, not like this. Don't submit this. This is not, it's not going to get you points. You got to, move them around a little bit, make it cute. Nice little variety of stars. All right, I think that'll work. Okay, so now I'm going to change the fill color of all the stars to white. So now that I've locked this black box, I can just do my selection marquee over to select all those stars at once. And now I'm going to group them. So select them all, go up to Object, Group. Awesome, so they're not going anywhere. Okay, so now I need to unlock my box because I'm gonna actually create the pattern swatch. And I think you're gonna like this because it's fairly easy. So in my layers panel, I'm just gonna unlock that. I don't need it locked anymore. And then put that back for the moment. Okay, so for this, I'm going to open my swatches panel. Remember, window swatches, if yours isn't open. And I'm actually going to select all of these objects and I'm just going to drag them over to my swatches panel. So just drag it over. And look, it made a new swatch. So now double click the new swatch. And this is going to open the pattern options panel and the artboard changes to pattern editing mode. All right. So I'm going to deselect the artwork first and then double click on this. And so now my artboard looks super weird because this is pattern editing mode. And I got this new little box here. It's going to allow me to rename my pattern. So type Starry Night. and then press enter. And then press the escape key to exit pattern editing mode. And so nothing happened. Nothing happened on your artboard, but in your swatches panel, your new pattern swatch now has a name. So now I'm going to delete my artwork here. I don't need it anymore because I have the swatch saved. And I'm going to create a circle that's a 4-inch circle. So under my rectangle tool, find your ellipse, click once on the artboard, and then you can enter 4, tab 4, okay. And we have filled it with our pattern swatch. So now with my circle selected, I'm going to double click the scale tool, which is this one, to get my little box here. Type 50 in the scale uniform text box. Verify that only the transform objects checkbox is checked in the options section of the dialog box, then click OK. So we're in uniform, change this number to 50. And then down here, verify that only the transform objects checkbox is checked. Okay, so transform patterns is unchecked, transform strokes and corners is unchecked. So just this one. And then we're going to click OK. And so what happened is we have now modified our circle size, but not our pattern size. So the pattern stayed the same. So now we're going to drag and drop a copy of this circle. I'm going to just move it up a little bit. And then hold my Alt key to get the little double arrow. All right. And with this second one selected, I'm going to double click the scale tool again. Type 200 in the uniform scale box and verify that only the transform patterns checkbox is checked. Okay, so I'm doing kind of the opposite here. I'm scaling the pattern and not the circle. So I want this unchecked and I want transform patterns to be checked. And then click OK. And so there you go. Any questions so far? Okay, so this next one is a little tricky. You may find it easiest to use the layers panel with this one too. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to create a 1x1 inch square with no fill, no stroke. And we're going to use it as a bounding box around these shapes to create a pattern with only what is inside of that bounding box. So over to rectangle tool, click once on your artboard. We're going to do 1 inch. And we're going to take away the fill and the stroke. And then position it here. Just as, kind of close to that position as you would like. So this is where I'm going to open my layers panel. And I'm going to, so right now I drew my rectangle being, willy-nilly and such. So it's actually on the same layer as the star stuff that I was doing. And what I want to do is I'm going to actually cut it and paste it onto this layer. So edit, cut, and then I'm going to click on A62 and then do edit, paste. Went over here. I can actually, hold on. Let me undo, edit, paste in place. There we go. So now it's back. All right, and so now what I'm gonna do is move it to the back. Right now it's in front of all of these lines and it needs to be behind them. So I'll go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And so you can see in the Layers panel, the rectangle is now behind the other objects. So select all, then drag the objects into the Swatches panel, okay? So I can close that, open the Swatches panel, going to just do a marquee, select all of this stuff, and then drag over it here. And so in my swatches, I've now made a pattern swatch that is only what is in that 1 by 1 inch box. So hide the objects that are on the artboard. You can use my layers panel for that as well. Hold on, do I hide the whole layer? Should I just hide the whole layer? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Create a 4-inch square and fill it with a new pattern. Okay, so this layer is hidden. Hold on, I may have complicated this. This layer is hidden. No, that's not what I want to do. No, what I want to do is, sorry y'all, I'm like working this out in my head. I'm going to select, holding my shift key, and I'm going to hide just those and keep. Why don't I remember how to do this? This worked the other day, right? Okay. Either way, that's fine. So my layer is still not hidden, but all the stuff that I was just messing with on the layer is hidden, okay? So there you go. Either way, you want to do that is fine. Sometimes you have to talk through it and work it out. Okay, so create a 4-inch square and fill it with your new pattern. So go to my rectangle tool, click once, do 4 by 4. Okay. And then in my swatches panel, just click on my new swatch there. And so now create a second 4-inch square and fill it with pale pink. So I'm just going to right click, copy, paste in front for now. I have a pale pink swatch here on my swatches panel, so I'll just use that. And then I will do arrange and send to back. All right. Any questions about that one? So if you would like, I mean, you could, there's a bunch of different ways that you could tackle that one. You could go into your menu and have hidden the items. That's fine as well. You can create a new layer before you draw your 4-inch square. Or you can do the long, terrible way that I did and just click the eyeball of each one. So completely up to you. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so we're going to be creating a pattern tile. So select the lavender circle, click Object on the menu and point to Transform, then click Move. All right. So we'll select this, object, transform, move. And then enter 1 inch in the horizontal text box and 0 in the vertical text box. So 1 and 0 in the vertical. Select both lavender circle. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I skipped a step. And then click copy. All right. So now select both lavender circles. Hold shift. And open the move dialog box. Click enter 0 in the horizontal and 1 in the vertical and click copy. So object, transform, move. So horizontal will be 0 now. Vertical will be 1. And we'll do a copy. All right. Now select the light blue diamond. And then apply transform again. So Control D. Select both blue diamonds, double click the rotate tool, and enter 90 in the angle box, then click copy. All right. So select both of those, double click rotate, enter 90, and then copy. Okay. So now we're going to be selecting all of these in our Pathfinder panel, clicking the divide button so that it cuts and kind of masks. Okay. So select all, then go to Window, Pathfinder, and in this panel, we're going to find divide, which I think is this one. Yes. Click divide. And then we'll deselect and we're going to use our, I'm going to close this. We're going to use our direct selection tool now to cut those pieces that are on the outside. All right. So click the selection tool, select and drag the artwork into the swatches panel, and then name it the new pattern alpha swatches or alpha shapes. Okay, so they don't tell you here at this step how to do it. They just tell you to do it. So you're remembering. So click the swatches, drag it over, and then we're going to double click it. For this dialog box, we'll name it alpha shapes, and then enter and escape. And I must have had this selected when I was doing that, so it got kind of messed up. And that's fine, because I think, yeah, we're just selecting this and deleting it. There you go. All right, now we're going to create a another square. So I'm going to reduce, it says 6-inch square, but I'm pretty sure this artboard's only 6 inches. So I'm going to do a 4-inch square here. So click the rectangle tool, click once on my artboard. I'm going to stay with the 4s and then OK. And it's filled with my new pattern. All right, so now in our next set of steps, we're going to modify this pattern. Okay, so drag the alpha shapes pattern from the swatches panel to the pasteboard area. So remember, this whole area here, this gray area, is your pasteboard. So you can just click and drag it out onto that gray area so you can see it. All right, click the direct selection tool, click the artboard to deselect the pattern, and then click the royal blue section in the pattern tile of the pasteboard area. Okay, so deselect, direct select, and then click the royal blue section. Now change the royal blue fill to a purple fill. So you can use the one that's right here. Switch to the selection tool, then select the entire pattern. Press and hold Alt and then drag the purple version of the pattern on top of the Alpha Shapes pattern in the swatches panel. Okay, so holding Alt, drag right on top, see the little plus sign, and then drop it. And so now the original pattern that we created is replaced with this purple one. Now use the direct selection tool, select all the pieces of the pattern you dragged to the pasteboard area except for the purple section. Okay, so make sure you deselect, then do your direct select. Okay, hold shift. Press and hold Alt and drag the selected objects on top of the Alpha Shape swatch on the swatches panel. So we are omitting the background here. Just drag, so do a little plus sign and drop it there. And so now our swatch example here, our 4x4 square, shows no background. Okay. So hopefully easy enough, right? All right, so this next one, we're going to actually be using the pattern options panel that we've used at this point to just rename things. We're going to actually use it for its abilities to create and, modify things. Like you'll see, you'll get tiles. It's actually, I don't know. I think this part's kind of fun. It's interesting to me. So select the letter B. Maybe it's because they made it into a B. They knew that Brittany would be teaching the class. I don't know. Oh man, I'm full of silliness today. Okay. So select the letter B, click object on the menu and point to pattern, then click make. So select B. Oh, I'm in my direct selection tool. Sorry. Use your selection tool to select B. Go to window. I'm sorry, not window. Object. Point to pattern and then click make. The new pattern has been added to the swatches panel. Okay. I'm going to get rid of my little swatches panel there. And then it says verify that the settings on your pattern options panel match figure 25. Oh goodness, we may actually be using this thing today. I can't see that. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so new pattern, grid, check, half inch, 0.6, da da da, 1.1, da da da. Okay, that matches. These two boxes are highlighted. That matches. 5x5, dim copies to, okay, here, mine says 50. They wanted to say 70. And then show tile edge. All right. So far that matches. And then, hold on, I want to get you into a view where you can actually kind of see what's going on with the pattern itself. Type BBB in the name box. Compare your swatches panel to figure 26. Okay. Yep, still looks the same. On the pattern options panel, change the width and height fields to 1.5. So in here, 1.5, tab 1.5. Now the size of the pattern has increased. Create a copy of the bee and then rotate it 180 degrees, then position it in the upper right corner. Okay. So we're going to go to object, edit. No, hold on. We have to select it. Edit, copy, edit. I'm going to do paste in front. And then I can just kind of move it out. So you see it's affecting like all of them. They're all doing, whatever I do to this one, it's going to happen to all the little tiles. All right, so create the copy of the bee and then rotate it 180 degrees. So use my rotate here. 80, not that many. I don't know what would happen then. Okay, and then click OK. And now I'm just going to move it into the upper right hand corner and then move the original bee down here to the other corner. I did that backwards, didn't I? It's okay. All right, now select both bees and then click rotate tool and enter 90. Okay, so shift, click the other bee, then double click rotate, and we'll do 90. And then copy. Now I have 4 bees. Mine are just facing the wrong way. You don't lose points for things like that, just FYI. Okay, so use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move the 4 bees inward or toward the center of the pattern tile. All right, so you can select these individually and move them in. See, that's about 3 arrows over, 3 arrows up for each of these or so. 2, 3, 2, 3. All right. Now change the fill color of the 4 bees to none and apply a 1-point black stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and use my shift to select all 4. And then right here, my fill and stroke, I'm just going to reverse these. And now deselect all. And then using my type tool, create an uppercase 0 with a font size of 14. Okay, I'm gonna have to back out a little bit to deselect. So come over here, make a little box, uppercase 0. Whoops. Pattern box is kind of in my way. All right, select my 0, and then I'm going to open my character panel, change it to Myriad Pro, and 14-point font. And then position the 0 in the center of the bees. All right, so I don't need this anymore. I'm going to actually kind of position my text box so that it's not so large. All right. Just move it kind of right there. Okay, so deselect all, change the fill color to none, and change the stroke color to black. Click the rectangle tool, then draw a rectangle precisely on top of the pattern tile. Okay, so click down here, change the fill color to none, the stroke color to black. So I just had to reverse those. And then I'm going to use my rectangle tool with my summer art guides on to just draw on top of the kind of the existing little box they have there. Deselect, fit all in your window, and compare your pattern. All right. There you go. Looks the same, about the same, close enough. Uncheck dim copies and show tile edges option at the bottom of the panel. So deselect that. Click the tile type list arrow, then click brick by row. All right, so right now we're in grid. We're going to do brick by row. Click brick offset list arrow and click 1/2 inch. So mine's already at a 1/2 inch. And then at the top of the window, click done. So this area here, there's a couple of different tools that are going to kind of take you into this mode. So pay attention if Illustrator's ever kind of acting funny, to see if there's anything going on up here. But yeah, so click done. And it's gone. Oh no. So now what we're going to do is, it's not gone. We're going to delete the B. Then we're going to create a large rectangle here. And we are going to fill it with our new pattern swatch, which can be found in your swatches. Just click, and there it is. Okay. All right. Today, we're going to accomplish brushes. So I'm going to start over here in our document, A6-5 for brushes. In Cengage, chapter 6, lesson 5, working with the brushes panel. Okay, so there are a lot of different kinds of brushes that you can make in Illustrator. My favorite type of brush to make is when you take an image and you make a brush out of that. I'll show you how to do that. But we're going to go through the different kinds of brushes that you can make with just these components here today. So first thing we're going to do is open the brushes panel. If your screen looks like mine, that's the brushes panel. If you don't see that, you can of course go to window and brushes to open it. And you'll see there's already a lot of pre-made brushes in there. So yeah, we'll be making more. I'm gonna have to like stretch out for this because this panel is kind of big. Does it go in? Does it a little bit? Just a tad, not much. Okay. Okay, so real quick, if your panels are set up like mine, you'll also see symbols here. I don't actually cover symbols in this course, but symbols, brushes, and there's a few other, these panels basically work identically. Adobe has preset things in these panels that you can use. And there are also libraries. So anytime you see this little stack of books here, that means that there is a library there where you can go and retrieve more things if you would like. All of these can be altered if you want, or you can make things from scratch, make things brand new, all of that. So lots of options here with brushes. Okay, so on the brushes panel menu, the little hamburger menu, we're going to click new brush. And that's going to bring up this fun little box here. And we're going to click a word that I just really struggle saying. Calligraphic? 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 Something like that. It's this word. I could say calligraphy. I just can't say it when there's a C on the end. Okay. So we're going to click that and then OK. And we get another fun little box here. And we're going to rename this brush 12 points. I have my magnifying glasses on today, but I still can't see anything. So, all right, 12 points and 45 in the angle box and 12 in the size. So angle here, typing 45, size will be 12. Okay, and then click OK. All right, so there's our new brush. It's right here, 12 points. So with the selection tool, we're going to select the first curved line on the artboard and select the 12 points brush from the brushes panel. So select your line, select your brush, and it is applied. Now we're going to double click the brush here, and it's going to bring up another options, or sorry, bring back up the options box. And we're going to change the roundness to 20%. So right now it's at 100%, so it's very round. You can see the little changes demonstrated there. And click OK. And then you get this box that makes you feel like you did something wrong, but you didn't. It's just letting you know that this change that you made is applying to what you've already done. So that's all. So you're saying, yeah, apply to the strokes. And so now you can see a little bit different than when we first created it. So now apply the 12 points brush to the circle and deselect it. All right, so select my circle now. 12 points, and there we go. That is our calligraphy brush. That's what I'm gonna call it. Calligraphic. Like, that's not even, I don't like that word. I don't think it is a word. We'll see. Okay, so select the star target in the lower right corner of the artboard, and then click the brushes panel menu, click new brush, and then click scatter brush, and then click OK. There we go. All right. So we have this little star graphic here. It's grouped, so you just have to kind of click once on it. And then we're going to go into our little menu here, click new brush, scatter brush, and OK. All right, so this brush is going to be named Star Target. Type 20 in the size box, 60 in spacing, and then click OK. So size over here, we're going to do 20%, spacing 60, and now OK. So we have a little brush right there. Then it tells us to go ahead and hide this. So I'm going to go to Object, Hide Selection. So apply the star target brush to the second curved line and then to the circle. So curved line, select, click our little brush. And then it says to remove a brush stroke from a path, select the path, then click remove brush stroke on the brushes panel. So this little brush with a line through it. Okay, so now we're going to double click our Star Target brush to make some changes. So we're going to change the spacing to 20. And then click OK. And we're going to get that little box again. Apply to all strokes, or apply to strokes. Yes. No. All right. Then we'll apply it to the circle. I think I was supposed to do that beforehand. That's okay. So you can just see the difference that it made with spacing. So obviously the higher the number, the larger the space in between the little stars would be. All right, now we're going to create an art brush with this pencil. So select the pencil artwork, click the brush panel menu button, and new brush and art brush. So new brush, art brush, okay. And see, there's a theme here. All right. Pencil art, new brush, art brush option, and click OK. Okay, then I'll click the stroke from right to left button in the direction section of the art brush dialog box. All right, so we have these little direction arrows. So we're going to click this first one, enter 75 in the width text box. So up here, 75, and then click OK. All right, so there it is down here. And now we'll apply it to that third line. I'm sorry, we have to hide this. I don't know why we're not just deleting them, but I'm not going to go rogue today. I promised myself I would follow the directions. Okay, so I'm going to select the third line and the circle and apply the new art brush. So far, so good. So now verify your swatches panel is visible. Mine's right next to my brushes. If you don't see yours, of course, go to Windows Swatches. Select the artwork on the lower left corner of the artboard and drag it into the swatches panel. Okay, so lower left, I'm going to select this and I'm going to drag it. I made a little swatch. Double click the swatch to open the pattern options box and type green side in the name text box and then enter, then click escape. All right, so double click and we've gone into that pattern options mode that you may remember from last time. So in this box, we're going to call this green side. And then let's enter and escape to close. All right, now hide the artwork. Now select the artwork in the top left corner, drag it to the swatches panel, and then use the same method to rename it green corner. Okay, so select that, pull it into the swatches, double click. We'll call this one green corner. And then enter, and then escape. And then, I don't know why they get all wonky when you do that. It's kind of weird. Then we'll hide it. Okay, so click the brushes panel menu, then click new brush, click the pattern brush option, and OK. All right, so back to our brushes panel, new brush, pattern brush. Okay. All right, lots of different stuff in this box. We're going to call this green frame. So now click the side tile list arrow, click green side, and then compare your dialog box with this figure. So you can see in here, they have these little icon images that kind of tell you where this particular image box is controlling. So the second one is green side, or I'm sorry, the second one is side. So we're going to do the little drop down here and we're going to find the side tile that we just created. It's right here. And then everything looks the same as in the box. Yes. All right. Now click the outer corner tile list arrow, then click auto between. So this is the outer corner tile, and we're going to select auto between. Click the inner corner tile and click auto between. So that would be this one. You hover over them, they tell you select auto between, and then click OK. So now we're going to select the square frame here and apply our new brush. So as shown in the figure, the corner is not satisfactory. So this auto between option, which doesn't bother me, but it bothers the folks at Cengage. So they're going to give us some extra steps. So if you can see the way that it auto betweened, it didn't quite match up the parts the way, the way a professional would. So double click the green frame brush to open the dialog box again. Change the outer corner tile and the inner corner tile to auto sliced, and then click OK and apply the strokes. So let's try auto sliced, both of these, and then apply the strokes. All right, that did better. That matched it up a little bit better. Now we're going to double click the brush again, and we're going to apply these corners that we created earlier. So double click, and then the outer corner tile, inner corner tile to green corner. So green corner, and OK. Apply strokes. I really wish that there was a different sound that would make. It does. It makes me, like, jolts me a little bit. I feel like I'm in trouble. Okay, so let me back out a little bit so you can see now each of the corners has that corner tile. And there you go. So now we're going to continue to modify pattern brush. So apply the green frame brush to the fourth curved line and then apply it to the square. It's already, did I miss something? Because it's already applied to the square. Okay. So the only thing on here is they were pointing out that we can use the scale slider to make it larger or smaller. So I'll go ahead, that's the second line here. Let's go ahead and do that. So you can see that I slimmed it up a little bit with this. Okay, so now the fourth curved line, click the brush, and it's on there. Now double click the brush. And we're going to apply this green corner to the start tile, which is, I can't see. Yeah, it's this one. So green corner. And then click the end tile box, click green corner, and OK, and apply to strokes. Okay, so both of these are getting green corner. And then OK. Apply to strokes. All right. And so there you go. That is the brushes panel. We're going to use it again over here, but that's a good start. All right, this one is called Random Beetles. So we'll go back out, go into lesson 6. So scatter brushes are actually pretty cool, especially if you want to like make objects like stars or something kind of glittery or whatnot, and you want to make it into a brush so that it's, you know, consistent when you're using it. All right, so select the circle and apply the flying beetle brush, which is already in here. I don't know why, if y'all can see it on your end, it actually looks clearer on my filming screen than it does on my actual Illustrator screen. My brushes are very pixelated. So I don't know if yours are doing that too. It's kind of wild. Okay, so there's the flying beetle, remade scatter brush. Okay, so now I'm going to double click the flying beetle brush and to get the text box here, click the preview checkbox. Mine is clicked, and then move the scatter brush options dialog box so you can see as much of the artboard as possible. Okay, that's going to be a challenge. Will this let me tab? No. Okay. All right, well, we'll just be moving back and forth. Goodness. Sorry. Okay. Click the size list arrow and then click fixed, and the beetles become the same size. So right now it's set to random. I'm going to set it to fixed. And then you can see they all became the same size. Enter 50 in the size box. So right now they're at 24. We're going to make them bigger. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I think I got cat hair in my face. Click the scatter list arrow, click fix, then enter 0 in the scatter text box. So scatter right now is random. We're also going to change that to fixed and 0. This is going to make it really boring. See? Ugh. Okay. Click the spacing arrow, click fixed, and 50 in the spacing box. So spacing, fixed, and change that number to 50. Click the rotation list arrow, fixed, and enter 0. All right, rotation, fixed, 0. All right, I will compare. They look the same. Now click the rotation relative to list arrow and click page. All right, so right now it's path. We're going to change it to page. So you can see the change that made. Let me go back and do it again. Path. Oops. Crap. I just clicked enter when I wasn't supposed to. Okay, fine. I have to reopen it. Oh, I knew that this moving it around was gonna come back and get me. All right. Let's change it back to page. There we go. So you could kind of see the end of it changed a little bit. So click the method list arrow and click, oh, wait, I skipped a step. Click the eyedropper button on the scatterbrush options dialog box. Then click the black leg of the beetle artwork to preview in the preview window of the dialog box. Okay, so I'm going to use this little eyedropper here. And then I can barely see this, but let's cross your fingers. I'm going to click on this black part. And then the key color here turns black. So click the method list arrow, click tints, and then OK, apply to strokes. And this is going to make all of our little cute little beetle colors go away. And it's going to be black and white. See? Okay. So on to the next one. Double click the Flying Beetle brush. Click the size list arrow, click random, then type 20. And in the first size box, and then 100 in the second size box. So we're giving it percentages for sizes. So they'll all be different sizes between 20 and 100% of the size they are now. Click the spacing list arrow, click random, type 50 in the first spacing box and 200 in the second. Random, 50 and 200. And then in the scatter, click random, negative 100 in the first scatter and positive 100 in the second scatter. So again, random, negative 100, positive 100. And then click the rotation list arrow, click random, type negative 180 in the first rotation box and 180 in the second one. So random, negative 180, whoops, positive 180. And then click the method list arrow, click none, and then compare your dialog box to this one. Yay, the color is going to come back. My gold didn't come back, but the color did. We'll see how that works out. All right, now click OK and apply to strokes. Oh, yay, they did. The color did come back. All right. Now click the Remove Brush Stroke on the Brushes panel and reapply the Flying Beetle brush. So this is going to be kind of cool because every time you apply a brush, it changes because we set it all up random. So take it away. Select it again, select the beetles, and I get a little different outcome. Okay. And so this next part, which is why I have a note for you here, is that once you've applied a brush, you can actually expand or explode the brush and be able to separate the components and move them around. So let's say that you're doing a drawing and you wanted this random look to it, but maybe this wasn't random enough. You can go to Object, expand appearances. And so now they are, oh yeah, that's why I put the note there, because you expand them, and even though they're no longer a brush, you would still need to use your direct selection tool, and you would only be, selecting parts or whatnot. Or purpose of the note is that you can ungroup them. So object, ungroup, and then you can move them around as whole. To make them extra random. And copy them too. You can copy and paste them if you wanted to. Just do a little Alt key there. Okay. So moving on. So now we're going to talk about the paintbrush tools. I don't know, have y'all played with these at all? Any of y'all gotten into the pencils or the paintbrush tools? The blob brush. These can be fun if you're a paintbrush kind of person. Yeah, they can be cool. So what I like about using the brush panel is that I can draw a geometric shape. So I can draw very controlled images, like with using my shape tools and with using my pen tool, and have very, very nice crisp lines, and then apply brushes to them. And, I don't know, that's how I like to draw. But the paintbrush and blob brush tool are for those people who like to be a little more willy-nilly. And that's fine too. So let's learn about those. All right, so here we go. We're just going to do a little practice with the paintbrush tool to see the difference in these. So verify that your fill color is set to none, stroke color is set to black. Mine is. Click the 45-point oval brush on the brushes panel. So first I need to click my little tool, and then on the brushes panel, find 45-point oval brush. There we go. Oh, and let me preface by saying I suck at these tools, okay? You're not about to be impressed with my line tracing skills with these. So here we go. All right, so use the brush tool to trace this single black dash, which one would think would be kind of easy, right? It's not. There we go. Looks like an eyebrow. Okay, and then make 2 strokes to trace the black plus sign. And move over to here. I feel like it starts, I don't know. Yeah, see? Whatever it is, calligraphy and whatnot, I missed it. I was not invited to that party. Okay, so there we go. Now change the stroke color to red and trace the red part of the X. And then change it to blue. And trace the blue part. And then we're going to switch to outline mode for a moment so that you can see what's going on behind the lines here. All right, so Control Y. And there they are. If I select them, they just kind of look like lines. Yeah. So essentially, that's what you're doing. You're making lines that are just kind of thicker. So imagine like you're creating a stroke essentially. Okay, so back to Control Y. And now we're going to see the blob brush tool. So it is hidden behind the paintbrush tool. So we'll go ahead and select that. Let me actually deselect and then blob brush tool. Verify the fill color is none and the stroke is black. Then again with that 45-point oval brush. Still there. Okay. Use the blob brush tool to trace these. So we're just kind of doing the same thing, just with a different brush. All right. Now we're going to change our stroke color. Whoops, not going to do it that way. It usually opens up. I don't know what I did differently then. All right, so let's go red and blue. Okay. So while they look the same, if we investigate our Control Y, got a little bit of a different situation going on here. So see, I know this is kind of hard to see in the lines because you can see the outline of the tracing element, but in these, you don't see like a stroke line. You actually see a shape. So with your blob brush, you're actually creating shapes that have points on them that you can modify. And also where they overlap, they become, oh, what is my computer doing? Oh, goodness. Okay, where they overlap, they actually become joined. All right, so Control Y is off. All right, let's move on to these flower brushes. We're going to do one of my favorite things, which is making a brush out of an image. As well as our width tool, which I did show you when we were doing Snowball that there was a width tool. So I don't know if anybody went in there and used it or not, but we'll be using it for this. Okay. So do not get confused when we're talking about the charcoal brush that you will make. Do not be confused with the one that already exists, okay? They are different. They look different. They are going to be handled differently. So when I open it up, believe it or not, I cannot be fooled very easily. I know, I know the brush that comes with the program versus this brush, okay? So what we're gonna do is grab the charcoal PSD. Out of chapter 6. All right, it's called, I'm sorry, it's called Fat Charcoal. There you go. So go ahead and download that. And I'm just gonna move it out here. Okay. So we're gonna go File, Place, and we're gonna grab Fat Charcoal. There it is. And then I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck this link button. I don't think that'll affect you, but that's what I'm doing. So, and then I'm going to do place, and it's on my cursor, and I'm just going to click once on my artboard here. And so if you zoom in, you can see I have this very pixelated picture of a charcoal. All right. So with this, following directions. With the arrow button next to image trace button on the control panel. I hate using it here. I like to open the whole panel. Okay, whatever. I'm following directions today. All right. When I go rogue, I start going places that are confusing. So this is my goal. Follow directions. So drop down the arrow and find shades of gray. Okay. Now you can see this artwork kind of got a little smoother because it's now been traced as a vector object. Now click the expand button. This is really important. People miss this for some reason, but if you don't click the expand button, then it doesn't actually set up in paths, and it's just kind of a random picture inside of your document. So you have to click this expand button. And now you can see all the little paths light up. All right, and then using our direct selection tool, I'm going to delete the bounding box. Let me move this out here real fast to kind of show you what's going on with this. So right now, yes, I have traced the brush to be a vector object, but it still has this white background. So what I want to do here is get rid of that white background. So I'm going to use my direct select here, and I'm going to click inside the box. Let me make sure I do it. And then I'm going to do backspace. I'm going to find those little white places and keep doing backspace to get rid of them. If you have some of these light gray areas, that's fine. Okay. So that will mess you up later if you don't do that part. So now I have my image, it's ready. And I'm going to drag it into the gray area at the bottom of the brushes panel. So open my brushes panel. I don't really have gray area right now. Let's see if I stretch it out. Will that, okay. Stretched out, I got a little gray area in there. And I'm going to drag it. And I get my little box. So this is going to be an art brush, okay? And we're going to call it Fat Charcoal. And then click OK. And so you can see it appears down here. It's different than the other charcoal brush that's pre-made in Illustrator. It's different. And I know the differences. Okay. So now we're going to delete this picture. So just backspace and it'll go away. Select the artwork on the artboard, click View, Hide Edges if necessary. I'm not going to do that. And then click the Fat Charcoal Brush thumbnail on the panel. So I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to click my Fat Charcoal, and it has applied. Now, does it look great? No, but this is what they're asking us to do. It should be skinnier. So we can change the weight to 0.5. I'm just going to use the stroke weight that I have right here. Change it to 0.5. And now it resembles the picture. Okay, so that's how you make a brush out of an image. This works great for watercolor. So if you find like paint splatters and things like that, use this method. You can make a brush with those, and it actually is really, really cool. charcoal is, that's what they gave us. So, all right. So now we're going to play with flower width. I do realize that we are running over time. I'm going to continue this recording to make sure I cover, because we only have these 2 exercises left. But if you do need to go, I understand. So just so you know, I'm not stopping the recording. All right. Okay. So select the vase, and then we're gonna click the width tool. So this is the one. Let me get rid of brushes real quick. I'm gonna tuck that back in there. So this is the one I was telling you about with Snowball. I think I showed it to you, and you may or may not have used it, but it's a very, very weird little icon over here, the width tool. And so what this does is it allows us to select strokes, and then we can widen parts of them instead of the whole like uniform width of doing it through up here. Okay, so just selecting the vase, selecting the width tool, click and drag on different areas of the vase to alter it. So it's a little weird, but you see that plus sign appear, and then you can just hold down your mouse and drag. And widen different parts of the stroke. But don't stop there. Try it on the flowers. Man, mine is extra wonky. And just play around. Try to make it look nice. Or super wonky like mine. But yeah, it is a cool tool to use for certain applications. So a fun one to experiment with. All right. And so lastly, bristle brush. Okay. Again, you're not going to be impressed with what I do here, but I will show you how the brush works. Okay, so click brushes panel menu option and then new brush. So let me deselect what I have going on there. Brushes, new brush, bristle brush, and OK. And then we're going to type flower bristles as this brush's name. Oh, it says flower bristle brush. It really doesn't matter to me. And then click OK to accept the default setting. Now select all of the artwork and change the fill color to white. Scary. There it is. Click the flower bristle brush on the brushes panel and then compare your work. All right. Where did I put it? There it is. Okay, so there we go. Looks like one of those spray t-shirts that you get. You ever been to a boardwalk where they do the spray, they'll paint your face or they'll paint your name on the spray t-shirts? Is that ever? Y'all have to remember that I grew up going to Myrtle Beach on the East Coast. So, you know, things are different. I don't know if they do that on the West Coast. Oh, goodness. All right. So now double click the bristle brush on the brushes panel. Verify that preview is selected. Ooh, is my image still selected? Let's do it. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm going to double click this to make some changes. Enter the settings below and then click OK and apply to strokes. Okay, so round point, we want to be at 4 millimeter, 150%, 75, and the thickness is 100. Making a real monster here. 75% opacity and 50% stiffness. Then click OK. All right, apply to strokes. Ooh. And now it is super painty. Okay. So now verify that our artwork is deselected. And then we're going to open the layers panel and create a new layer. So my layers panel is here. If you don't see yours, go to Window, Layers. All right, and so I'm going to create my new layer, just going to this little plus sign here. And it doesn't tell me to name it or anything, but yeah, so we're just going to be working on whatever name it comes out. Now click the paintbrush tool and verify that the flower bristle brush is selected in the brushes panel. Okay, so go under the blob brush, get the paintbrush tool in the brushes panel. It's verified, yep, selected. And now I'm going to set my stroke color to green. Green swatches. Okay. And then it doesn't say it, but I don't think your fill needs to be set to none. So go ahead and do that before you select your stroke color. Grab a green. And we're gonna start painting. Airbrushing, that's the word I'm looking for. Airbrushing. Y'all ever seen airbrushing? Is that even a thing anymore? I hate this tool. But it's fine. Okay. So it says use different shades of green. There we go. Look at that masterpiece. Okay. Change the size and the opacity of the paintbrush tool on the control panel if you would like. Your results obviously will be unique. And you can use the figure as an example of what can be done. So you are going to now be selecting colors. And you can change your size here if you would like. You're going to be selecting colors and coloring this in. Ooh, that is bad. Let's see if I do it thicker, what happens. Let's go up. Let's go to 2. Woo! All right. Man. Okay, and so then you're going to be using your black and white to add highlights and shadows. So you're going to color your flower, color the vase, do a better job than I am. I mean, this is just really out of control. And then add highlights. I'm going to actually undo and make my stroke a little bit smaller. Zoom in on my highlights. And then add some shadows as well. All right, and so once you finish coloring in your flower, you are finished with brushes and patterns. Very exciting. Okay, so please let me know if you need anything, if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer those, work with you, whatnot. Otherwise, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week.